Hello and welcome to another episode of Cake Fight Presents The Making Of. I'm writer, director, producer Paige Feldman. And this week, as every week, I'm taking you inside my process of making my debut feature film. We're going from idea to premiere in real time. So last week, I made you all a promise. I'm gonna pledge to you here and now that next week, you're going to be watching a video of me celebrating the end of writing this first draft of this contained romantic comedy feature. And y'all, I didn't lie. I kept that promise. I finished the first draft of this script, and after we roll those titles, I am gonna come back and tell you my top 3 favorite things about this rough draft, and the top 3 things that I definitely need to work on in the rewrite. I'm gonna give you all a brief timeline of what happened since last week's video. I filmed last week's video on Sunday, August 21st. Then by Thursday, August 25th, I had barely written 15 more pages. At the end of the day on the 21st, I was at page 99, and at the end of the day on the 24th, I was on page 113. Very long, I know. And I hadn't even finished Act 2 yet. Despite all that, I barely made any progress, and I knew something needed to change. So Thursday, August 25th, I decided I have about half of a sequence left to go in Act 2, and then 2 sequences for Act 3. I think if I really focus, I can do this tonight. So at 4:47 p.m., I finished work for my day job and then sat right down in my chair up in the office, because I work downstairs for my day job and then upstairs, just change the scenery a little bit. And for the next 4 hours and 3 minutes, I wrote. Now, I draft using the Pomodoro method, which is a 25-minute writing sprint, a 5-minute break, 25-minute writing sprint, 5-minute break, 25-minute writing sprint, and then I take a 15-minute break after that third sprint. So on Thursday, after 7.5 Pomodoro sprints and 37 pages of drafting, I wrote the 3 best words in any screenwriter's life. Fade to black. That's right, the first draft of this script is finished. I'm calling it a rough draft because it is rough. But not to worry, I know I'm gonna be able to fix all of these problems and get it production ready. But that's gonna come after a bit of a break. I'm taking the next few weeks off because a week from today, I leave on my honeymoon and not gonna be writing on my honeymoon. And then when I get back, it's back to work. But before I forget about the script entirely, let me tell you the top 3 things I really love about it and the top 3 things I know I need to improve. So let's start with the things I know I need to improve, just like you like, or I don't know if you like it, but I like getting the bad news first because then the good news feels so much better, hopefully. So here are the things that I need to improve about this script. First of all, length. Now, I know if any of y'all can do math, you're thinking, oh, it's 140 pages. But that's in Microsoft Word, where I draft using fountain markup. 140 pages in Microsoft Word using fountain markup is more pages when you translate it into screenplay format. So before I press save for the last time and shut my computer down, I put it into Fade-In, my screenwriting software of choice, and found that I am at 155 pages. Now that is bare minimum 35 pages too long. And if you've been with me on this journey of making my first feature for a while, you know that the first script that I wrote, thinking it was going to be my debut feature script, Kaleidoscope, that first draft was 268 pages. So 155, that's not that much to cut. And definitely not anymore, which is a Passover set romantic comedy script based on the true love story of my great Aunt Maxine and great Uncle Carney. That script got me Austin's second rounder and top 20 in the Missouri Stories scriptwriting contest. That script, the first draft, was 238 pages or 233, something in the 230s. And I got that down to a lean 120. So 155, no sweat. And I actually think I will be able to get it down to around 105 to 110. Really get into that below 2-hour sweet spot that romantic comedies, especially indie romantic comedies, do really well in. So that's the hope, but for now I really need to improve on the length. So the second thing that I need to work on is ensuring those emotional high points between characters are earned. Now, what I mean by that is that during a kissing scene or a fight scene, the really good ones, you feel some release of tension, some catharsis, whether it's sexual tension or emotional tension, or just the like physical anxiety of, oh my God, will you guys just get it over already, whether it's the fight or the kiss. And if the audience isn't feeling that way, isn't feeling like this kiss or this fight is inevitable and needs to happen and is begging for it, that moment's not going to work or feel as good as it possibly could. So I have the fight scenes, I have the kissing scenes, all of that, all those are in place. But what I don't have is the proper buildup to get there. And I don't quite know what's missing yet, and part of this is in the rewrite. I'll be doing a lot of excavation of character intentions and motivations and their wants and needs. So I'll be able to get there. Like with the length, I'll be able to eventually get to a place where I can make sure that these emotional moments pay off. But for now, even when I'm writing them, and I can tell when I'm writing them, they're falling flat. Everyone's going through the right motions, but there's not that buildup of tension that's really necessary to make those scenes work yet. So that is something that I definitely need to improve on in the rewrite and all of the rewrites. I say the rewrite, there's gonna be several. So the third thing that I need to improve on in future drafts of this script, and remember, these are just the top 3 because there are many more than 3 things I need to improve on in this script. This is the third of the top 3, is that my conflict feels kind of poorly integrated into the character arcs and plot lines of the story. To tell you what I mean by that, I'm gonna go back to Wing Dad, which is the film that was my first credit as a feature screenwriter. And I'll link the video in the description all about it. One of the things I learned from writing Wing Dad is that I can write as many fantastic emotional catharsis moments, emotional interrogation conversations, really poignant parts of the story that build character and make relationships feel more complex and nuanced and real. But if those fantastic scenes aren't integrated into a part of the plot, into something that we need to see in order to move the story forward, they can and will get cut. I know as the writer and director and producer of this film, I'll have, if not ultimate control, a great deal of control over what gets kept and what gets cut. But I don't want to just fall back on my position of power to keep certain things in the script and in the film. I want to make sure that every moment feels like it's essential for the story to be told. And while I'm not 100% sure about this, and I'll have to go back and I will go back and read the script, but once I go back and read the script, I'll know for sure. But my instincts are telling me that while I have conflict, while I have arguments between Ash and Mitch, my main characters, those arguments, that conflict between them I don't think it's all that well integrated into their individual plots. It works with their character arcs, but the plots, the actions that they're taking, the goals they're trying to reach, I'm not quite sure how well that conflict plays into it. So in the rewrite, I'm going to need to look at every scene, every moment between Ash and Mitch, and see how I can make their interpersonal conflict, their internal conflicts, their external conflicts, all of them come together. I keep meshing my hands together because I want everything to come together into a story that where those pieces cannot be torn apart from one another without the whole thing disintegrating. And that's going to be tough. I'm not naturally the best at imbuing conflict, that kind of complex conflict, into my stories. My strengths lie in dialogue and human emotion and relationships, creating conflict between two people. But one thing that I'm doing with this script, which is different than a lot of the things I've written before, is giving each of my characters a very tangible goal that they're going after, and finding conflict to reach a tangible goal, not an intangible goal, not a state of enlightenment, not a state of confidence, but a tangible thing that they're trying to get or do, that's new for me. And so this is going to be a really great and possibly difficult learning experience as I try to integrate the conflict into these more traditional types of plots. Those are the 3 things I need to improve. I know that I can, but right now, my script, she's a mess. And so I don't despair too much about it, and so you don't despair too much about it, because we are making this movie. The script is going to get better. I know it. I can feel it. I have some great ideas that I'm going to write down and then try to forget about over the next few weeks. But before we go there, I want to tell you about the things that I love about this script already, even though my rough draft, she is rough. So the first thing I love about this script is the amount of Judaism in it without explanation. All the characters are Jewish, and there's Shabbat, Havdalah, Yiddish phrases, anxiety, cooking, mourning, praying, all of the things that I love about my culture and my experience of it put into this film without the need for anyone to come in as an outsider to the Jewish community and ask for an explanation. I promise you, if you're not Jewish, or if you are Jewish and maybe from a different background, if you're Sephardic, if you're Mizrahi, and you're not as familiar with Ashkenazi, I mean, first of all, for y'all, I'm sure you're familiar with Ashkenazi stuff because Ashken normativity, which is a whole other thing. But if you're not Jewish, or if you're not familiar with the culture or the religious practices, don't worry, you will get it. There's going to be enough context and explanation of the significance of these moments that are specific to the characters and specific to Judaism itself, that you'll be able to enjoy and understand the story without knowing anything. So don't worry, you're not going to be left out. If you've seen the movie The Farewell, which is like my lodestar in terms of cultural representation, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, you should check it out. It's Lulu Wang's feature film starring Awkwafina about a woman who goes to visit her grandmother one last time before she dies of cancer. The family has not told the grandmother that she's dying of cancer. And the whole thing is very much Chinese and Chinese-American culture clash. And I'm not Chinese. I'm not Chinese-American. I know nothing. But I was able to integrate into that culture and understand what was happening. And I say integrate, I mean like mentally understand what was happening. Just from the way that Lulu Wang made her movie and wrote it and directed it. So Judaism without explanation, without apology. I love it. I'm really excited to make this movie with that element. Number 2, which is very on brand for me, of the things that I love about this script, are the awkward sex scenes. I am trying to reinvent the romantic comedy for the 21st century. And part of that, as much as I love the like gauzy curtains, power ballad, romanticized, beautiful, sexy version of sex that Hollywood puts forward, because it's fun, it's not real. Sex is not always beautiful and sexy and special. It's awkward and funny and strange and vulnerable, and there's so much about sex that's not seen on screen. I'm not just talking about like porny stuff. I'm talking about, oh no, I have a cramp in my leg. Oh my gosh, I just burped. Oh God, my hair fell in front of my face and I can't see you, and now I have hair in my mouth. My voice just cracked while I was moaning. So many things, and these are just off the top of my head. And there's one scene in this where Ash and Mitch, my 2 main characters, they are a heterosexual couple, and I would love to do a queer rom-com in the future, but as a straight woman, I don't feel like that's my place at this point in my career for this type of project. A project that I'm writing and directing solely. But I digress. So Ash and Mitch, they're in the middle of about to have sex, or like in the middle of almost like verbal foreplay. And then they're like, all right, we're gonna get down to business. And they get so excited that in taking off their clothes that Mitch, the female lead, accidentally punches, and like not like hard and derailing, but just like she does make contact, like fist to mouth contact with Ash twice while they're trying to take off their clothes. And it's funny, and they laugh, and they ultimately get down to business. It doesn't stop them. And so this kind of humor and realism in sex, the awkward sex scenes. I feel like this is a hallmark of mine. I love it. I'm really excited to shoot it, and I'm really excited to have it in the script. And third and finally, and again, there are other things I love about this script, but these are my top 3. And also there are like way more things I know I need to change than I love right now, but that'll change. Anyway, number 3 of the things that I love about this script are the individual journeys my characters are on. Now, I am, but I'm not necessarily talking about the exact plots that they're following. I do love those, but the thing I'm talking about here is the idea that they're both on their own separate journey. They have their own separate goal. They're looking to reach it, and they're caring for each other. They're being in each other's orbit is what's helping each other reach those goals. They don't need each other to do any of these things. And in fact, either one of their individual goals, either one of their individual stories could have been a movie on its own. But them being on their parallel and separate paths together and forging their bond over going through their own life issues is what makes this a special and fun romantic comedy for me. And it's something else that I'm looking to help reinvent in the romantic comedy. Because in the classic romantic comedy, so much of the time, finding love is the ultimate goal. And finding love is a goal on its own. And in my films, I don't see it that way. In my life, I don't see it that way. Because love is amazing. And y'all know I got married. Like, I love love. And I think it's really special. But the reason I think it's special isn't because everyone, we all want love. It's what love helps you achieve and become. Because the thing that's magic about love, and the thing that I want to portray in my romantic comedies, is that if you find someone who truly cares about you and supports you and believes in you, it makes it easier to do more, to take more risks. In the best circumstances, you have someone who will challenge you, who will tell you that you're able to go farther. And even if they don't tell you, just having them there, having that love, it buoys you. That's what I want to portray in my stories, that these relationships that are built are really important and beautiful and wonderful. But the thing that's beautiful and wonderful about them is the way that they help the characters change and grow on their own and become the people that they were meant to be, achieve the goals that they want to achieve. And finding passion and following your passion are not mutually exclusive. I portray that really well in this script, and it's not there yet. None of it is there yet, but the building blocks are there. And I'm so happy to be able to work on Ash and Mitch's individual stories in their parallel but separate paths. Ash is dealing with loss and grief, and Mitch is dealing with the fear of failure. And they're both learning to let go of their expectations and find new ways to move forward, hence the themes of ritual and renewal. I can't wait until I'm more clear on all of this so I can really share this story with you. And now I can, because the script is done. I'm on the path. It's not just a tangible idea on an outline. There's a script here that I can work with. I can fix the things that need to be fixed and enhance the things that I love, and really just tell an amazing story. But like I said, I'm not worrying about the rewrite for a few weeks now. Even still, there is plenty to be done in the meantime. Stuff that'll help me prepare to get the proof of concept off the ground, get it going as soon as possible, as soon as I'm ready. So I'll be back next week for more of Cake Fight Presents The Making Of. Thanks so much for watching, and if you've stuck around till now and haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button because I'd love to continue to share this journey with you. Thanks, y'all. See you next week.